Oh my God, well, let's see, live contraception, everybody. It's, well, hey, look, what are the best contraceptions, the best ways to prevent STDs and pregnancies? Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Magnus, me, Jersey, Cali. Okay, so, Magnus, contraception.
First off,
Yes,
we're just two friends talking.
that's right. Don't listen to us.
This
That's
is
right.
not medical advice or anything
That's
like that.
right.
Like
Don't listen to us.
talk to your
Doctors, yeah, we're just
healthcare.
friends. Exactly. Thank you, Magnus. People are aware, look, so there's so many different types of contraception out there, and nobody wants to get an STD, nobody wants to get someone pregnant, right? So what to use? And it makes me laugh because, Magnus, when I see, like, forbid, right, people get STDs or unwanted pregnancies, I say to myself, like, it's pretty easy nowadays. Like, I don't get it how people can mess this up. And so let's go through the different types of contraception. By the way, I think that
Can I say
contraception is a
something?
man's responsibility more than anything. But go ahead.
Yeah, and it comes down to this: certain things that I hear the high schoolers saying,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, like, did you fall asleep when we were having this kind of like education? And I don't understand, like, why aren't people educating themselves? And I think this is something that parents need to step up,
Parents
because I
don't want
think
to do it. They're not going to do
no,
it.
they feel way too uncomfortable to do it, instead of
Watch
just
this
like,
show.
yeah, or just like have that conversation. Like, it's better to start out having that conversation fairly early. It becomes so it's not awkward, because like you want your kids to ask these things because you want to protect your children
Well,
from.
even adults. Like,
Yeah,
again, like, you have 5 kids, you don't want to have a sixth. Okay, so I mean, let's break it down. But I agree with you. Hormonal method. A woman can take
yeah.
oral contraception, the pill. Now, I have a problem with the pill, actually, because when I'm on the dating scene now, but when I was married, I don't, again, to each his own. Everybody's got to do what works for them. But my apprehension about the pill is that, as you know, you're a PhD, it can raise cancer risk in women. So I don't know. I mean, like, it's
Yeah, not just that, but there's still a lot of side effects that people are like, unfortunately, and this is something like, which is so weird, that we're focusing way more on making pharmaceuticals for men than women. And I think
for
that
women
is,
and men.
yeah, and I think that is so bad, because we like, why wouldn't we take care of 50%, or actually more, 50% of the population of
Yeah, we're men.
this planet, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I think we're definitely doing our every, like, whole humankind a disservice of not like getting better at it.
Yeah, it makes me laugh because a condom. What do condoms cost at a local convenience store for a 4-pack, a 3-pack? I mean, we're talking about $3-4. Nobody should have an STD. Period. But guys
Y-
are,
Yeah, and teenagers usually can go get it for free at like
yeah, they're
clinics and
free
things like
most of it.
that.
If you got money for vaping and alcohol, you got money for a condom, dude.
Yeah, or you definitely, yeah. Otherwise, you like priorities, because it comes down to this: if you don't protect yourself, like, you might actually end up having an unplanned child, right?
Or
And
right,
that
and then
is
what?
that is expensive when it comes
Right,
down, like,
what's
having.
cheaper, right?
Yeah,
A couple
exactly.
dollars or a kid?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of what I wanted to point
And by
out.
the way,
So
any young person hearing me, you can't say, "Oh, I'm an old fart." I don't know. I'm single, bro. I'm out there. I'm dating. So I wear protection. For me, I feel like I'm a guy. I'm a man. I'm a responsible person, an adult. I'm always gonna have, if I'm dating or seeing someone or going out, I'm always going to wear protection. I'm never gonna worry. Oh, is she on the pills? I don't have to worry about that. I'm taking care of the situation. I'm taking
yeah,
care of me.
yeah.
Anyways, okay, so let's go on to number 2. Vaginal ring releases hormones into a vagina, similar to birth control, but it's physical. You're putting a ring into the orifice. Again, it's a woman's thing. Okay, contraception patch adhere to the skin, releases hormones again to the bloodstream, which is, again, I have a problem with that because, again, I think it can cause a lot, like you said, side effects for women. Injectables, Depo-Provera, can be shot into the arm, and you get a shot, whatever, once every few months, and you don't have to worry about it. It won't protect against STDs, but you won't get pregnant. Implants under your skin release hormones again. Uh,
It could be for several years.
right. Condoms again for male and female. They have female condoms. Diaphragm, which is the type of a female condom. Sponge. I didn't realize that. The
Haven't you
spermicidal.
seen Seinfeld? Elaine and her sponges. That is like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
no, I mean, like, is it sponge worthy? So,
yeah,
like, again, if you're into Seinfeld, it's a fun episode.
yeah. Cervical cap, similar to a diaphragm, but it goes over the cervix. You know, those I would worry about, though. I mean, like, I don't know, dude. Like, yeah. I mean, but hey, if you don't want to take pills and whatever, AUDs, which is, if you don't know what they are, guys, they're tiny, tiny, tiny little piece of kind of like plastic or copper, and they go into the hole on top of the cervix, and it can be a little painful for a woman, but that stops sperm from getting into the cervix. Hormonal IUDs and copper IUDs, so
Yep.
it's
Also kills off cells.
right permanent. This one makes me laugh. I say laugh, it's kind of sad. But when a woman gets her tubes tied, tubal ligation, I always say to myself, why would a woman do that when it's easier for a man to get a vasectomy? Vasectomy takes literally 5 minutes, outpatient procedure, and you put a little ice on your crotch.
Usually way easier to recover from and everything as well
But
too.
tubal ligation is a very serious. Getting your tubes tied is a big
Yeah,
surgery,
yeah.
and I don't know why a woman like I'd be like, if I were a woman, I'd tell the guy, "Fuck you, you get your vasectomy or wearing a rubber. I'm not gonna cut my body open." Now, sometimes when a woman gets a C-section, while they're in there, I guess they say that they can do that, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And then the other
But it's
one,
it's the same thing. Like looking at it, like you're saying, that is way of a bigger surgery than if you get snipped
vasectomy
as a
is
guy.
nothing.
I mean,
Yeah,
like it's like it's and that's the thing that I think it's like interesting is that almost all the ones that you mentioned are on the women's like
right.
and not like and again like it's getting the pill for a guy, it's way more complicated than
And they do
because there's
exist, but
yeah, but they're not good as is right now. So I mean, I hope that they continue working on it, and I think that we will see way more advances in this type of field as well when we're learning more about like how to use both like physical but also more like hormonal like aspects of it
yeah.
and whatnot.
For sure. The withdrawal method's always a fan favorite.
Oh man,
If you want
that's
to get
like get out of
somebody
here.
pregnant or get an STD, do that. Spermicides, dude. Not to be TMI, but I've used spermicides before, and let me tell you, man, it's like putting gasoline on you. It's no, I'm not a big fan of that. But and then this one I don't like either. It's kind of like withdrawal method, fertility awareness, what they call the rhythm method, when you track a woman's ovulation
Yeah,
every month.
yeah.
That's big in certain religions. I think that's fucking dumb, but whatever.
That's a risk as well too. I mean, certain women know their
That's
bodies
more for
inside and
pregnancy,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, and then but like you have to definitely be aware of other things, and I think that's why if we're looking at the condom, it protects you from
Yeah,
pregnancy
yeah.
and STD. So, and I think that is, I like looking at it, that covers a lot of things. And one thing that I do want to add, all these methods, there's nothing that is 100% like that guaranteed that
No,
it's
of course.
safe. So like again, but when it comes to especially teenagers, I'm not saying like if you're like you need to be aware that you're running the risk of actually being pregnant. And that goes for
Pregnant
everybody,
with,
not just
right,
teenagers. Yeah.
right.
So like
But something's better than nothing, and wearing a seatbelt can also kill you, but the odds are it'll save you.
exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, we should actually like it's way better to actually use it than not use it, right?
Yeah, well, let me
So
tell you, and then I would say, because I'm single, I'm out there, I'm romancing, and I would tell anybody, any young man, because you got assholes out there like, oh, but the condoms, man, doesn't feel. Shut the fuck up. First off, condoms today, you don't even know you're wearing them. That's how good they are. They're so technologically more advanced than they were even 10 years ago. So that's number one. And my favorite is when people say, the guys say this one, yeah, I wore the condom, but it broke, and that's how she got pregnant. Okay, condoms don't break. Stop. You're a liar. Anyways, so like you have to fucking put a sword through a condom to make it break.
yeah, I mean it's either yeah or that you
They're
don't
triple
even
tested before they even get
yeah
sold. So
and
stop it.
and that or you have no clue on actually how to mount it on your
Well,
manhood.
that's the
So
thing. I think guys. Well, and that's read the
and then
label, read the
and
box, because there is a right way and a wrong way to put a condom on.
and can I tell you one thing as well too? Like if you're planning on using it, you should probably like
Try it out once. Yeah.
practice on yourself by yourself first to see how
hundred
it actually
percent,
works.
100%.
So like again, and a lot of teenagers can go and get. I'm not promoting sex for anybody. It's just up to everybody else. Like with the same thing. I mean, that's the same thing. Like Like if you definitely if a woman definitely or a couple definitely don't want to get like pregnant, then like yeah, you don't practice sex. Period. That's how it
Well,
is
that's
too.
another way. Honestly, you could do that. I mean, and by the way, I did that for years. And I'll say this. I mean, I was 25 years old when I had my first romantic evening. Okay, now that was by choice. I could have had sex a lot sooner, but I was
Yeah,
very religious. And
yeah.
my point is, there's also that you can choose to keep your pants up. You don't have to have sex. So that was my choice as a very religious person at the
Yeah.
time. But now, so that's. And I'm not saying that should be the number one thing, but it is a choice that people can make to say, "Hey, I'm going to wait." That is a choice. But to act like especially like people who are religious say, "Well, that's the only choice." No, listen. Most kids, most teens, people, they're going to have sex. So let's all stop and not act like that ain't going to happen. Wear a condom. Cut it out. Okay, I'd rather have your mommy and daddy be angry at you because you wore a condom than your mommy and daddy are angry at you because you had a kid or you got an
Yeah,
STD. So,
yeah. No, and like here's another thing. I mean, like I think that it's also somewhat smart of not trying to rush into it as well too. I mean, like you see when we're talking about like first off, people like especially like females and kids, they start having their period way earlier nowadays than we used to have, and that's a whole nother story for another day. But it comes down to this. I don't think like if you're a preteen or like a young teenager, take it a little bit easy. Like again, because at the end of the day, you're still running a risk of actually becoming a parent really, really early.
yeah, for me, I would say maybe yeah. For me, we might disagree on this one, but I would say I would never. Yeah, like when I was raising my son, I just assumed he's gonna have sex. I
Yeah,
told him, I said, listen, it would be nice if you waited until like you had your shit straight in life and you had money and you had a career and then don't have sex when you're a teenager basically. I said, but I know reality. So I encouraged him and we talked about sex and I encouraged him to, yeah, I want you to use protection and sex
that
is not a bad
conversation
thing.
is way. Yeah, I mean, I think. Yeah,
you know
no, it's the same thing, but like you have to take responsibility, and that what it comes down to. And I think that
right.
having that conversation, having that fairly early, like you're better off having it early, and especially nowadays too.
Yeah,
Like you do not want your kids to basically get their education
on the
from
street.
or
Yeah,
the internet
the
nowadays.
porn,
It's like
internet,
yeah,
whatever, right.
like because it's like it's gonna make their I would say
It's
their
better
sex
they
life
hear it from mom and
very
dad
crooked.
than they hear it
Yes.
from the street. I know I got all my sex education from the street growing up in the 80s. It was all the wrong stuff. And, thank God like I said, I waited, but not everybody, most people don't do that. I was very religious fundamentalist and all that stuff as a very good, devout Catholic. And, anyways, but it also wreaked havoc in my mind about what is healthy, sexual relations or healthy relations because I went to the other end. I was very very like if you have sex before marriage you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, going to hell, going to hell. It's like that's not good either.
That's very bad actually because
Yeah,
then
it
you
really
go
messed.
into it's like the same thing with any type of like if you're comparing it to a diet like you are going to rebel against it if it's too strict, right? Like
Right.
it needs to have somewhat of flexibility and understanding to it,
Yeah,
and I think it's so important. I think and I also think that is very individual or like couples related on how it works as well too.
yeah,
So
I mean listen,
and
yeah,
yeah, no, I mean it's but it's again, it's like coming back to it. I think it's so important that you need to take responsibility for yourself and your own health, and also be very protective of the other person that you're having
yeah.
sex with.
Again, when I had my son as a teenager, and also I would say if you have a teenager, you have to assume they're not going to take responsibility. So
Hmm.
I think parents should buy their kids the contraception and should get their kids on the birth control, the shots, because at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, they're not going to take responsibility because they're dumb, they're teenagers,
Yeah,
right?
they don't even
We're
know.
all that. We're
They
all
don't
that.
even know.
Right.
Like
And so
obviously they don't know.
I think it's a parent's job to buy the contraception for the kid and to not say go do it, but to also say, hey, look, you're driving a car, you're gonna put a seatbelt on.
Hmm.
You're going out to go on dates and stuff. Here's some condoms, and here's how like talk to them, or get them on the pill or whatever it is, because they're gonna have sex. Like, let's just
Yeah,
stop with this shit. You know what I mean?
and I think that's very different from like American culture compared to like when I'm used to like in Swedish culture. It's like sex is like it's something that is viewed as more naturally. It's not like, oh, you're gonna burn in hell for it. And I
Right.
think
Well,
that
in
kind of,
America, we like to act like it doesn't happen, but it does.
yeah, exactly. And I think it's way, I mean, we need to change that. We need to be a little bit more open about it and have conversations about it, and not being like again, a golden example. I think that I've told you about this before when I was in the States and watching the movie Blues Brothers.
Right.
And this is like, I would say, late 80s. Me and my sister was watching it, and then, when Jake is getting released from the hospital, and they have the condom scenes,
Uh-huh.
and that was cut out.
Right.
And then the next commercial is like, oh, wear a condom because it's like it protects you from AIDS. That was during the AIDS epidemic, right? And I'm like, me and my sister, we were looking at each other. It's like, well, what?
Yeah.
Like they remove, but again, I mean, it's just funny. I mean, and I think that like we need to be a little bit more view sex as a little bit more natural thing, and
Right.
not
Sex is not a sin. You're not going to hell.
exactly.
If you have premarital sex, guess what? You're not going to hell. You're a good person. Let's cut the shit. But, again, you want to wear condoms, guys. Be a man. Again,
That
parents.
shows you that you're a good person, to be honest.
Parents,
That
buy
you
your kids
actually care.
condoms. Buy your kids
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So like it's gonna happen. So let's stop. And right, it shows you care about your kids. And I'm not saying you should encourage them, but do you ask your kid to put a seatbelt on? Okay, then you're not encouraging your kid to drag race, but why are they putting a seatbelt on? Because you never know. Like, and so, anyways, anything else before we wrap up, Magnus?
No, I mean, it's, again, everybody needs to take responsibility for it, and I think parents like get on the horse and like do this, and don't like show them some dorky video or have them get educated by their friends or
talk
internet. Yeah,
my parents didn't talk to me, but anyways, I talked to my son. Yeah, so all right, buddy. Thank you, Magnus. Thank you, everybody. Protection.
take care, guys.
Erosion, Durex, all that stuff. All right, lifestyle. I don't even know. All right, very good. Thank you, everybody. I'm signing us off. 5, 4,
Like,
3,
comment,
2, 1.
follow us.
Thank you, Magnus. See ya.